You know, before even the anime released, just by the trailer alone, there was a little bit of hype, a little bit of murmur in the internet, a corner of the in the internet, and I noticed as the season went on and more episodes of this anime was starting to release, there was less and less talk about this anime, less hype, people practically stopped talking about it altogether. And after watching it, all 12 episodes, I can honestly say I noticed why people stopped talking about it, because this anime is just too damn disappointing. It's not a bad anime it's not bad, it's not awful, it's not the first thing that you have ever watched. It's just disappointing because by watching the trailer alone, you will see decent animation and a good premise about the guild receptionist and her just practically soloing many dungeon bosses. Now, in order to grasp uh, grasp the disappointment that me and many people probably felt too, let me talk to you a little bit of the story. We have our main character who like I said is the guild receptionist, and she is just overwhelmed by overtime. Every single day she has to stay well into like the 3 to 2 a.m. just for slaving and with paperwork, mountains and mountains of paperwork. And apparently because there's a dungeon and there's a boss that people just aren't strong enough to defeat, so more adventurers take on the quest to conquer that dungeon, and that piles up to her paperwork, and she just does not like it. She hates overtime. So what she does is, because she apparently never explained in the anime, but she was able to unlock a very powerful skill. So with her skill and her big hammer, she goes and practically solo that boss and for a bit until the next dungeon gets discovered. She is at least a little bit spare from the overtime hell. Now, apparently, another adventure from Silver Sword, he has good nighttime vision, so he was able to have a good look at her face, quickly discover who she is, try to make her join his party. She didn't want to. She just want the stable income of the guild receptionist. She doesn't want to risk her life or anything like that. She just wants the stable and comfy job, a government job. That's how she says it, and there's and chaos ensued. Make technic even though she's not officially a member, but there's many situations that come about during the anime where she's forced to tag along with the Silver Sword group to to certain dungeons and fight certain bosses, and the story goes on. Now, that's a simple synopsis of the story. Now let's talk about the characters. Look, in one of my previous videos, I said that sometimes simple and straightforward is a good thing. Not every single story have to be overcomplicated. Not everything twist and turn. Not a surprise villain. Not everything. But it's a case by case scenario. This one just lack a lot of things. You have to have you can have a simple straightforward story, but you have to have very good interesting characters, world building, fighting mechanics. You have to have something else beside the story to make up for it, and sadly this one just didn't have anything. Let's go by first the main character. That I sorry that I did mention it before. Her name is Alina Clover. Now, she is just not a good for a main character. The reason because I say this is because overtime is her practically 90% of her personality. Saying, "Oh, I hate overtime. I want to do. I'm going to do this favor for you, but you have to promise me to help me combat or take away, make do something so that I don't have to do overtime anymore. Overtime. From the first episode all the way to the last episode, she's just constantly complaining about her not wanting to do overtime, and that is just a running, I wouldn't say joke, it's more like a running personality traits of her, that is just not endearing, it's just not charming. After a while it just get annoying, and it's just her constantly overtime. It just is exhausting after a while. And like I said, yes, that's like 90% of her personality. The other 5%, for some reason, she's very offish with another character that seems to have a little bit of romantic interest towards her. And the other one is her self righteousness, that she doesn't, even though she hates overtime, she's not going to push her work onto her co-workers. So even though that, yeah, she has to stay a lot late, she doesn't push her work onto others, and there's something about her that's admirable. But other than that, yes, it's just her complaining about overtime. Now we have another character, Jade, that he's the leader of the Silver Blades, and he is very he's a good character. He's a good leader. A good fighter, and he does strategize, and he prepares and trains for any tough battle ahead. But he's the one that has a romantic interest for our main character Alina, and for some reason only when it comes to her does he gets a little bit goofy and a little bit intense in showing his feelings towards her. It's not to a high degree, super annoying level, but it's mostly like the best way I could say is like he wears his emotion on his sleeves. Is saying that phrase correctly. Yeah, he just shows in a very obvious way that he cares for her, but she's very tense, standoffish. For some reason, she does. It's not that she hates him or anything. It's like she just refuses to have any acknowledge his feelings towards her. For some reason, it's not. She doesn't give a good reason why, but it's I don't know. Maybe something explain it in the future. Now, those are the two most important characters. There's other supporting character, but if I go character by character, I'm going to be here all day. So I'm just going to do those the two most important characters in this anime. Now, one other thing that I would like to touch upon is the fighting. The fighting is very well done. It never dip in quality. So what you saw in the first episode is what you're going to see up to whenever there's a fight up to the episode 12. But there's something that I just have to say about something, because our main character Alina is fighting against a boss. She's down on her luck, suffer great damage, and yes, she's not alone. She has the other character with the silver sword group, and they are helping as well. But when they were cornered, she activate let's say with her skill, she activated something like a hidden buff or something, where suddenly she started to glow like Super Saiyan yellow, and a little bit of spark of electricity coming up from her body, which with ups her strength and speed. And she used it like 2 3 times during the course of the first season of this anime, and it never is explained where that came from. They don't even question it. She just does that power up, defeat the boss, and they just go, they leave the dungeon, go off the merry way, continue the episode, and not none of them question, hey, where that power up came from. Do you have to do some specific steps to activate it? Does it have conditions? Is it something like that you can only activate once a day or something? Is something that was never explained, something that was completely glossed over. It's just something that, oh, it happens, oh, it happened again, and they just never talk about it, which I is maybe they would at least acknowledge it, even if they would never talk about the conditions to activate it, but at least acknowledge that happened. But no, not even an acknowledgement. It was just poorly done. That segment, well, that battle mechanic was just poorly done, poorly explained. Now, I think that I already have talked about everything I wanted about this anime. So let me give you my score. Sadly, this decent fighting animation, it does not hold up an entire anime. You have to have good character, good story, good battle mechanics, and so on and so on, and practically scoring below average in all of those stuff, and just scoring well enough in the animation style of the fighting. It was a disappointing anime with all the hype that I was hearing in the when the trailer came out, and I already talked about that. So let me just not drag this on. I'm going to give this one the score of 5, a 5 out of 10. I already explained to you in this video in my personal viewpoint of everything that was sadly disappointing. Let me just end it here. Now, have a good day, have a good night, wherever you're from, and see you next video.